What the heck is going on, everybody? Lunchtime here, and I'm bringing you 5 pro tips that will change the way you play Call of Duty forever. Now, number 1 is going to be improve your breaks. To emphasize my points, we're going to be watching the FaZe versus Seattle match on Embassy Search and Destroy. These are 2 top-tier pro teams going against one another on Search and Destroy. We're going to watch a clip of aBeZy and Slasher working their way towards the B bomb site. Instead of hitting the long route like player 1 is to cross over to the sign, their strategy right here is for Slasher to send a stun out the window, allowing aBeZy to kind of bounce out of the window and push B bomb site. That break right there allows him to get control of B bomb site without going the exposed route towards the sign. And the fact that they send a stun from the top window makes it less obvious that that's the route that aBeZy is going. All in all, it's a separate route for somebody to push the B bomb site without being as exposed to that sniper on the staircase. But to play at the pro level, you have to have an in-depth knowledge of breaks, so much so that you need to change a route depending on your spawn location. So take a map like Embassy, one that we've been talking about. If you're spawning on offense over here, you might do that route we just saw aBeZy do, where you climb up the ladder, break the glass, and jump out the left window. Now, if you spawn over here on this side, you might have to completely change up your route, because it takes that much longer to go all the way to the left, climb up the ladder, and then go that way. But you do have a better shot of just running to the right, crossing towards B-bomb this way, with a little bit of a better timing for the people that are going to be watching it from the Xbox over there. So in terms of breaks, that's something you need to be discussing with your team. If you have somebody that uses an AR or a sub and spawns here in the prime location across to the B site, you might tell them to pull out an SMG and push the B site, get control of their ladder before bringing the bomb over that way. Similarly, on the defensive side, you need to know that if you have a spawn location that's closer to the B bomb site versus one of the ones that's further away, closer to A, you're not going to be able to do the same strats. So when I get the better spawn here, I'm able to do the strat that involves pushing through bottom orange, jumping up on the sign, and then immediately challenging the people that are crossing onto B bomb site fast. Now, what I might do for my teammates that spawn further away is they can be the ones that send the nade over the B bomb site, so that they're landing on the sign as I'm challenging it, getting the people weak that are crossing here. And breaks are just the first important part of S&D rounds. Once things start getting mixy, gunfights start happening, that brings us to our next point. Number 2 is going to be to work on trades. If you can play off of your teammates and push at the same time, that will guarantee at least a kill trade with the potential of a team shot that would have you in a life advantage. So in this round right here, we're going to be watching the Seattle Surge as they push the spawn building. Mac and I believe Pred are about to bust through these double doors together. They know that Simp's been playing this corner a good bit. So as they push in, Mac jumps out further to the side while Pred stays in the doorway to avoid them getting 2-piece. While they end up trading the kill there, that round did have the possibility of them just team shotting Simp, giving them the life advantage. Regardless, a 1-1 trade is not a bad thing. What you wouldn't want to do in this situation is if Mac pushed the door by himself, not waiting on his teammate, and just died to Simp right there, leaving his team in a 3v4. So playing off your trades, working as a team, is the second pro tip on how to improve your gameplay in Call of Duty. The number 3 pro tip is going to be to always be in comms. Always be focusing on small talk with your team. The example in this round right here is Pred left in a 1 versus 4. He does find 1 kill on aBeZy, getting a little overzealous. But watch what the team does right here on your minimap. Number 4 and number 2 are sitting on the vans, both watching the B side, with 4 having a slight angle of the cross all the way across mid towards B, while number 1 is playing top AC, looking for info in the top windows while also having help on the B cross. In terms of the communication as a team, in order to not throw the round, what they're doing right here is locking down different areas of the map and constantly talking about what's open. I'm not sure if number 2 saw that the bomb was down, but if that's the case, that will give them even more information, and honestly might show even better why number 4 and number 2 are on those vans kind of watching the same door. So I guarantee during this part in the round, they're constantly calling out or figuring out what the other person is watching. When they saw that stun go through the glass, they didn't freak out too much. They held their same positions, although number 1 did rotate a little bit, and they ended up catching him as he had to grab the bomb. Won the round. So a lot of people, when they're initially starting with Search and Destroy, especially while working with teammates, they think that it's all on them to make the plays and call the routes, but in reality, it's a lot of small talk from different teammates to figure out what the plan is, where they might be coming from, what crosses you're watching, so on and so forth. And that brings us to pro tip number 4, watching and calling your crosses. On a map like Embassy, it's a fantastic map for crosses. Pretty much the entire map is a cross, so this is a good example for it. The reason why this Xbox is so popular is because if you position yourself properly, you can watch both the entire B cross and the entire A cross. I think number 2 got bad timing where they watched the B cross, and the second that they actually cross, they're turning to look at A. So that might have given bad information to their team. And that's probably why aBeZy pushes out a little bit too fast. But you'll see even right here, now that we have Slasher's POV, He has the cross to be if more go, and if they end up planning B, he'll have the cross back to their side so they can count numbers on how many should still be on site and how many might have pushed their side. Tip number 3 and number 4 go hand in hand because if you're watching your crosses, you should be communicating them to your team and work on everybody's information together to find out how many people are in certain areas, what areas might be open of the map, and where your opponents might be. That's the best thing about Search and Destroy, is that it's a constant mental game of finding out where the safe and unsafe areas are of the map. And tip number 5, the last pro tip on how to improve your COD skill, is going to be clutch factor. This is something you can't necessarily teach, but you can work on. If you guys watched this gameplay over the weekend, you know what I'm talking about already. It's Clayster's 1v3 against the New York Subliners on Al Bagra Fortress. He opens the door. He might not have known that he's here, but he knows if he opens the door, if somebody's in the building, they're going to calm the fact that he did open the door, in which case he prepares for somebody to chow the top left, kills Priesta, and is ready for one more, guarantees the information that one is up there after the stun goes through, and then he gets very lucky with them both jumping at him, but he still clutches the round, stands up to talk some shit. In terms of improving your ability to clutch, staying calm, continuing to work on your own information of the map, and predicting of your opponents and how they've played the map so far. Examples of that might be knowing which opponents are alive. If they have a faster playstyle and are more likely to throw their life at you, you might play differently than if you know the person you're trying to clutch against as more of a slow player that might be holding an angle with an AR. For Clayster right here, he knows that the top left is a pretty common spot for people to chow from, so he's holding that angle as he's working towards the A bomb. And one thing that I didn't pick up on earlier is that the bomb is actually down in the A building. That might have been part of the reasoning that he opened this door, because he knew that somebody would be up here holding the bomb cross and was just able to find the players from there. At this point, he knows that the last 2 players are SMGs, so I think the reasoning that he backs up, especially after that stun, and lays down is because he knows these 2 players, Kismet and Hydra, will be playing faster with SMGs, trying to push him out and find where he's at rather than holding crosses like the ARs on the team might have been doing if they were the ones that were alive. And it ends up working out that he catches both of them pushing at him. Thank God for no red dots as he gets that second kill. And yeah, he ends up clutching the round. And those were the 5 tips I learned from watching Pro Call of Duty this weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you learned something, let me know down below with a like or a sub, and I'll catch you next time at lunchtime.